Welcome back to 755 is Real. I'm David O'Brien, Braves writer for The Athletic, with my co-host Eric O'Flaherty, former Braves reliever. And Eric, we got a very special guest today. Another, former and current, I guess, Braves reliever, rehabbing Braves reliever. Everybody knows him, loves him, Luke Jackson. What's up, Luke?
How you guys doing today?
Man, I was telling somebody yesterday, I don't think I ever saw someone change the opinion of such a large segment of the fan base than you did in a span of 1 year. You went from being one of those Twitter whipping boys, because when Twitter turns on you, man, it's hard to get them back, to being a hero in 1 year, man.
Earned it too.
I also went back to villain when we played the Dodgers in the NLCS, so it's been a ping pong cycle for me.
The tide changes quick, doesn't it?
You ain't lying.
Have you thought about how he hit that pitch?
I know. I try to erase that from my memory.
Yeah, I feel you.
But the sad thing was, Eric and I sat here because in the year where everybody was convinced that you were shit, you were actually pitching well, and you had the worst luck imaginable. And we kept telling him his stuff is great, man. And everybody's like, they just kept haranguing. And then when you started getting good results, people were like, "Oh, Luke."
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you're Bruce Springsteen, man.
Exactly.
But anyway, so what has how tough has this been this year been so far for you? I know you went to spring training with excited, right? I mean, you thought you were healthy. You didn't know that this was coming, right? You didn't have signs of this before spring.
Yeah, no, I didn't even have signs. I never really dealt with any arm pain even up till surgery day, which is a little strange. So it's one of those things kind of freaked me out a little bit because I was so shocked by the news. But
yeah,
I think it was just one of those things that was eventually going to have to happen. Yeah. So we got it done, and team bullpen got better without me. Honestly, they're unbelievable right now.
Well, they've put it together with baling wire and glue and that. They've done a good job. They've done a hell of a job filling in, but you got to wonder how long they can keep going. They keep having guys go down, but guys step up, man. And I think you were obviously a huge part of establishing that culture that they have there and that great chemistry that they have there, that I think has allowed them to add the right pieces and everybody kind of blend together. Yeah,
AA's went out of his way to sign guys with good character and fun guys to be around. So I think that's builds an atmosphere down there where everyone kind of pulls for each other. And I think that helps a winning culture overall.
Yeah. When they brought back Darren O'Day, I think a lot of people out there are probably like, why? And because they don't understand, not only is he still an effective reliever, but how huge he is in that bullpen.
Massive. Just growth, especially with a lot of the young guys coming up. I remember my first year when Eric was there, he was the same presence, a guy who just kind of showed all the young guys the ropes, what to expect and what not to expect, what to be ready for, how long the season is, how to stay, not overdo it and not blow it out early, and make sure you're ready for 162 and the postseason. So I think a guy like him who's seen a lot of it will too down there, kind of really being a presence for these young guys. You got Jesse Chavez too, they brought back, who's been exceptional for us. And I mean, I think if there's a tell on character and how a bullpen reacts, I mean, he was struggling a little bit with Chicago and came back to somewhere where he's comfortable and a good group of dudes and showing he can really do it.
Twice they brought him in and he's pitched better when he got to the Braves than he was pitching before they got him.
You ain't lying.
And then the pieces that they add in spring training with only like 3 weeks to get used to get accustomed to the place were McHugh and Kenley Jansen, two guys that have fit in great too.
Exactly.
And have been huge pieces. For anybody that might have forgotten or is not aware that Luke had TJ surgery, blew out during spring training and had TJ surgery at the end or right before the season or right when the season started.
Yeah, right when the season started.
Yeah. So out for the rest of the year, obviously out for the whole season. Is that going as planned? And are you aiming for spring training or how does that work?
I'll be throwing again in September, early September. And then goal is be back ready and go for April next year. So I'll be throwing bullpens in spring training, but I won't be in a game till I think right around opening day. I'll start my rehab assignment opening day.
And is the plan to stay with the Braves? Is the hope?
I mean, that's the
You
goal.
hope?
That's
Yeah.
the goal. You never know what happens, where the direction they go. But I love my time here. This is family to me, and it's one of those things that if I don't sign here this offseason, I know eventually I'll be back here, and it's something that my wife loves it here. I love it here, and it's just a great fit all around.
What were you gonna say, Eric?
Did you have a pop, or did you have just elbow pain and found out it was torn?
No, that's the crazy thing. So about 2 weeks before I came to spring training, I threw a bullpen, probably the best I ever felt, best shape I ever felt, and the back of my arm, like
the back,
not even the back, I would say like
right in here,
the top part of my forearm. So top swelled up, like no pain, no nothing, just got swollen. And I was like, interesting. And I thought, truthfully, I kept telling my wife, I think it's from patting my son at night. I was like patting him to go to sleep all the time. Like we built a terrible habit and got like really comfortable to like anytime he started crying, if you started patting him, he'd fall back to sleep. So there's like nights where I was just patting him for 30-40 minutes. And then one morning I woke up, my arm was swollen, and I'm like, maybe I gotta stop doing that. So I stopped doing it. Took a couple weeks off, threw a little bit more. I got to spring training, threw my first live bullpen, felt great. Second live felt great too. Like velo was great. And that morning I woke up, my arm was swollen again. And so finally I went to George. I'm like, hey, something's going on. Every time after like really get on it, my back of my arm just like gets swollen. Doesn't hurt. It just kind of feels like fat. And so they wanted to check me for like blood clots you can get. So they checked me for blood clots, and like, hey, good news, you have no blood clots, but you have a fully torn Tommy John. And I was like, what?
Fully torn?
Fully torn, like for a long time.
Collateral?
Yeah, so it's actually, it gets to the point where it gets so stretched out and it tears, you never have that tearing. So I never had the pain. So I guess just over the years it tore. I had minor pain here and there. So I never really actually tore it. It just tore over longevity.
Kind of disintegrated?
So they said it was torn over a year and a half. So all of last year I pitched with no TJ pretty much. And what you can do, like it's something, if it's not like tearing, it just becomes to the point where if bone gets on bone, that's when you start to see swelling. So
that's amazing. I didn't know that.
Had you ever had an MRI before that point on your elbow?
When I got traded over, and they said I had like a 40% tear in 2016.
Yeah.
So I guess there was tearing before, but they're like, 40%, yeah, it might heal up.
Wow. That's what Greg Maddux pitched like the last years of his career with a partial tear.
Yeah, all right, Dickie, I think didn't even have one. Like guys,
right?
Like he could throw. Like, so I found out I had torn. They said, hey, talk to doctors. Some doctors were like, hey, if you don't have any pain, we could shoot it with cortisone shot. But they're like, eventually you're gonna have to get it because it's gonna be swelling up more than like you wouldn't be able to pitch back-to-back days. Like it would just be too hard. Mm-hmm. So kind of came to the decision I'm gonna get Tommy John, but I wanted to throw one more bullpen before I did it, and I threw one because I had no pain. I was like, let me throw one more time to make sure, and I really got on it and stoned like 94, 95, and I was like, all right, this is crazy, but I'm going into Tommy John, still throwing hard, super interesting. But when the doc went in, he goes, hey, dude, you're going to have to get it. Your arm would have just kept swelling up more and more, and there wouldn't have been enough cortisone shots or anything to take care of it. So, and I was going into free agency.
That's the kicker. You would have never got signed after that MRI.
Yeah, exactly. Just going in after that and having an MRI showing that, hey, listen, this guy doesn't have a ligament. Something's going to be coming on. So it was just one of those things that I think just for my career, for life purposes, I had to get it. So.
I was in the exact same position, man. I did pretty much the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I guess that would explain why a starting pitcher would be able to theoretically go longer doing that, because you got 4 days between
Exactly.
starts.
Yeah. Once I started firing up and throwing, I was good. It's just by the time I was done throwing, it would just swell up about an hour after. So it was like if I was starting and I had the pleasure of throwing every 4 days, I could have probably lasted a lot longer, but because I was throwing back-to-backs or multiple inning, multiple days in a row, it would have been too much of a nuisance.
So the swelling came from the bone on bone, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So you weren't going to be able to just, it's not like something you could have just, if you never got the MRI, you would just never know, because you found out about the swelling and that was going to keep happening.
Yeah, they said the swelling would have kept happening. After any time I really got on it, they said you'd have for sure swollen up because the bones were hitting bone, which I had. So the swelling was from a massive bone bruise I had in the back. So over time, it could have been worse. Could have broke one of my like elbow bones joint.
Oh, who did that? Who snapped their elbow throw?
Winkler did it with us.
That's right.
And so did
it just blew apart.
Did it.
And I covered Tony Sanders, or what's his name? Sanders, the pitcher for the Tampa Bay. He was with the Marlins, and he did it. He broke his, came back from it, and then did it again with Tampa Bay. Yeah, it just blew up on the mound.
That's a nightmare.
Tony Sanders, that was his name. Yeah. So you look at last year's bullpen, and the 4 key guys that he rode all the time, especially the big games, were you, AJ, Will Smith, and Matzik.
Yep.
So you look at this year, Will Smith has stayed healthy.
Yep.
AJ. They lost you. Matzik went on the IL for 6 weeks.
Yep.
And the bullpen has maintained, has been top 3 ERA and everything else, regardless.
Yep.
What do you think? How do you think how guys have stepped up? In Will's case, he not stepped down. Not that he was demoted, but he stepped down into a setup role. And AJ kind of became the primary setup guy. What he's done. What have you thought about AJ?
I mean, we all saw it in 18. Guy was, rookie with like the best stuff in baseball at the time, coming from the left side, and closed all his games. And then he kind of had a little bit of a setback with a little bit of an injury, and you could just see him getting back to where he used to be with a lot more confidence and no care in the world. And I think that's kind of changed. You can just see what he features. You can see what he features, and you can see the results. That make sense. You know what I mean? One of the things. It ain't a fluke.
Yeah. Luke is walking around at Truist Park in the training, in the bowels of the stadium now, doing his rehab. So now you got a view of the clubhouse there. So you get you got the possibility of getting Tyler Yates in the second half.
Kirby
Yates. You had Tyler Yates years ago. Kirby Yates has led the league in saves one year, I think, and had a terrific ERA strike. I mean, have you seen him pitch? Have you heard anything about how he looks?
Yeah, I spent a bunch of time with Kirby, actually, because he was rehabbing when I first got here. He fantastic guy. Fans are going to love him. Great dude. Track record speaks for itself. The guy is an absolute dog for all those years in San Diego. He's going to be quite a special piece that Braves bullpen is going to get.
That could be a big boost for them then.
Adding a right-hander and with his stuff. And I know he's cruising right along. He's in Florida right now, just finishing his rehab up. And I don't know his deadline or timeline of getting here, but he's going to be a nice little addition to the bullpen for sure.
Yeah, I think they were always aiming for August, so it should be right on schedule. He's down there. He went down there basically the same time as Soroka.
Yep.
Man, Mike's down there throwing live BP or sim game and takes a comebacker off the knee. So they've had to shut him down. That's just temporarily, but they're obviously being careful with him. They don't want to go out there and doing it. But I mean, you got to cringe anytime you see the guy trying to get out of the way of a ball or anything. This guy has been through hell, man.
You ain't lying, man. He's just had the short end of the stick for a little bit here, but he's got a good head on his shoulders, and he works about as hard as anyone you'll meet. So I'm not I'm not worried for him. He's a guy who's gonna, just tighten the shoelaces a little tighter and just get back to work. He's one of those guys. So I mean, he's had these
tremendous person. What a person,
character
that he has to get through this. Never complaining.
Yeah.
Always positive.
I think that's going to help him get to the finish line here soon. And once he gets here, everyone's going to be, Mike Soroka again, who might be throwing a little bit harder than he used to, which is going to be nice.
Man, I think it's been a while. People forget how good he was. I mean, he was the best young pitcher in the majors, basically. I mean, he was phenomenal. He was a 21-year-old all-star, finished 6th in the Cy Young balloting.
Exactly. No, he was, especially nowadays, where I think sinkers are back more effective than ever. I mean, Eric, you would have shined right now.
You sure?
Hey, the sinker's back, baby. Unless you're Strider throwing rocket baseballs.
Why do you think that is?
I think just, how, like, it's one of those things, the game goes in, like, those ebbs and flows of the hitters finally adapt to pitchers and pitchers adapt to hitters. And I think the hitting's finally catching the pitching at like the high heater, the curveball's down, and now it's going to switch to sinkers. I mean, look at some of these guys who are like these sinker ball pitchers who are just absolutely dominating. And I think that's going to be the next wave until it just switches again. But right now, I think Mike is kind of a different breed of a guy who really throws a true sinker. And I'm excited to see where that goes.
Well, you brought him up, so let's go ahead and discuss Spencer Strider, because what he's doing is obviously special. Last night he goes out, and there have been a hell of a lot of great pitchers for the Atlanta Braves. He became the first pitcher in Braves history to record 9 strikeouts in the first 3 innings of a game.
Yeah, it's
never been done.
Yeah, I mean, for the first 4 innings, nobody can see the baseball. How do you expect them to hit it if you can't see it for the first? It takes like the 3rd time through before they understand what's going on. Little guy with giant quads is throwing 101 miles an hour.
What's his leg workouts like?
Right, he's like a freak. But I don't really see him. I don't know if he lifts that heavy. I don't really know, but he does this like routine before he pitches that. You would have had a field day, my Lord, if you were in the weight room watching that.
It's a little goofy.
Oh my Lord, he can sit on his heels and like put his like legs over his head, dude. He's like a Pilates master. Like everything you see about him on the mound, the way his body moves is exactly how this guy like trains. Most flexible, strongest lower half you'll see. Yeah, and it correlates to consistently throwing the hardest fastball in baseball right now.
Yeah, he got big on the legs when he was coming back from TJ. He got big with the legs. He said, and now he doesn't have to lift real heavy with the legs. He said to maintain them, but he did get them really strong back then. But
anybody else trying to jump on the program, Luke? I would see guys do stuff like that and then go throw 100, and I'd be like, all right, I'm getting into Pilates then.
Hey, it's so true. Like, if this guy wasn't as flexible as possible, people would be doing it. But it's like so outlandishly crazy that like nobody can even attempt what he's doing. Like, the guy's, it's like doing a split in a handstand. Like, you know, he's like one of those. He's like doing Cirque du Soleil in there, and everyone's kind of just like, what is going on?
You know, that shit plays though. If you come out and throw 100,
you ain't lying.
If you do that and you show up throwing 89, you're gonna take some heat.
I agree. You better be punching out 17 per 9 and throwing 101. What he's doing.
You can do whatever you want.
And you gotta have people in there doing handstands and splits as well.
Yeah, nobody's gonna fuck with him about his diet when he's throwing 101, are they?
No. And hey, listen, he's one of those guys who just kind of he does himself. He's super, I would say, granola in a sense.
Yeah.
But he's like doesn't change for anyone else, and I love that.
I really like him, man. I'm impressed. I talked to him, and I feel like I'm talking to an older guy. He's an old soul.
Yeah.
He's got a peace sign on his glove and on his chain, and he comes out to Led Zeppelin. I mean,
Yeah,
he's a water bottle, like one of those guys who carry like the, you know, when they go hiking, they carry one of those like water. I don't know what it's called, like a hydro flask, and you know, it's like all that. Yeah, he's very Seattle. He's very Seattle, Portland type guy.
Yeah, REI.
His follow through is not granola though.
No. He's got a little violence in there.
Yeah,
I love the little pirouette thing he does at the end, especially when he knows it's going to be a strikeout.
Yeah, I mean, he goes, "Hey, you're not going to see this one either. Hold on."
Yeah. You know, but he does it in a way. He doesn't really he's not showing up, guys. He's just doing his thing, man.
Yeah.
Again, you can't do that throwing 89 either.
He's fun to watch.
Spin around, you're gonna wear one off the back.
The crowd gets excited watching him too when he's piling up them strikeouts, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, the infielders. I'm more nervous for the infielders. They don't do anything for 4.5 innings. The next thing you know, you gotta play D. They're I don't even know if they're ready for defense when the guy pitches.
He had a career high 12 strikeouts last night with 2 hits, 2 walks, and 6 scoreless innings. All 9 outs in the first 3 innings with strikeouts. He did. He asked about it afterwards, and he's all subdued because they lost. He said it's cool. I mean, a lot of really good pitchers pitched for Atlanta. That's neat. Wish we would have pulled out the win as well, though. But yeah, that's cool. And he became the first major league rookie in the modern era since 1900 to have consecutive games with at least 11 strikeouts and 2 or fewer hits. And the first Braves rookie since at least 1900 to have double-digit strikeouts in consecutive games.
That's nuts.
Past 2 starts against the Reds and Cardinals, 23 strikeouts, 3 walks, 3 hits allowed in 12 innings. Past 3 starts, the kid has a 0.50 ERA, 129 opponents average, 182 opponents OBP, 30 strikeouts and 3 walks in 18 innings.
I mean, you can't. It's MLB The Show numbers, you know. That's
God, it'd be so much fun to have that stuff and go pitch.
Oh my, yeah. What? Yeah, you're. That's. He's literally like he's using the best. I saw a chart yesterday. Kyle Bodie put up of his fastball compared to every other major leaguer's fastball. It's like a chart with like an index that shows velo, vertical break, horizontal break. And what makes him very interesting is his release height because he's short. You know what I mean?
Like Kimbrel.
Yeah, exactly. That's the closest profile to his fastball.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's like 5'9" is release point.
Nothing on the access is the same as him, but like just the height release and a guy who throws plus velo. So when Craig Kimbrel was throwing 98, 100, his fastball profiled very similar to Strider's. And Strider's, it's 59% better than every other major league fastball. So he's throwing 1.5 times better fastball than the average major leaguer. So he's almost like a double. He's closer to 2 major league pitchers at one time on the mound than one.
That's crazy.
That's insane. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. I was looking at it. I was like,
yeah, that goes to what their manager said last night because the Braves pitchers in all totaled 19 strikeouts last night. It was the most in a single game since they had 20 in the 19-inning game against Pittsburgh back in 11. But it's the most they've ever had in a game lasting 11 or fewer innings. And the Cardinals manager, somebody asked him about all the strikeouts, and he said, let's not forget the first guy was throwing 130 miles an hour. He said about his strikeout, he said, you got beat 3 nights in a row here, and then you have to face a guy who has thrown the way he did. That was real stuff. He said, it's real. It's coming from 5'9", talking about the release point, with an 18 vertical at 100 miles an hour. He said, that's a real fastball.
Yeah. They were showing a chart on Shohei Ohtani throws 100, and Shohei Ohtani's fastball compared to Strider's is not even in the realm. Like, it's like, yeah, he throws 100, but the fact that he's releasing it at 5'9" and his vertical break is that high, it's playing like 2 times better than Shohei Ohtani is throwing 100 miles an hour, which is insane.
You know what it's like? Did you ever see any of those videos of Jenny Finch pitching to major league pitchers?
Yeah.
That is very true. Yeah.
It's like that. You just are not trained to have a ball rising when you hit it. I remember she came and pitched against us. She was at Rangers camp, and we were playing them, and some of the guys went over and tried to hit off her. And
I was actually there for that, dude.
You were there for that?
I was there
and
for that.
You got Adrian Beltre.
Yeah.
You got Richie Sexton. Like all these studs from our team are just swinging through fastball after fastball after fastball. I don't know what she's throwing. It's probably 70, 80 miles an hour, maybe. I don't know. But she's just blowing guys away because guys are not trained to track a ball that's rising like that. Whether it's really rising or not, just the perception that it's rising and it's not coming on a downhill plane is just major leaguers can't track it.
Agreed. It doesn't line up with any bat path, and the fact that she threw it like whatever they throw at 48 feet or 50 feet, whatever that the softball. She didn't have any like face shield on. She was that confident facing these professional major league baseball players that they had no chance, and they did it. Like it was. I remember watching that. I remember there was like a foul ball, and everyone was like, "Yeah, like nice job." Like that was sick.
D-Row
has basically got that effect.
Yeah, D-Row broke it down this morning. I thought he said something that made sense. He was talking about, because I asked Strider last night, I said, and actually, you were striking out all the guys in the first 2 innings. You're striking them out at like 97, 98, not 100, 101, which he can do. And he said, well, I've said before, he said, I told you before, it's not the velo with me, it's the carry. When I got good carry on my fastball, that's when he feels like he can do anything. And D-Row was talking about it this morning, that spin that he has on it is so much tighter that even if it's not rising, it almost looks like it's because it's not going down. Yeah, and he's releasing it from 5'9".
Exactly. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, we're basically seeing Kimbrel as a starter.
Very similar.
Yeah, he had a stat. He had a stat this morning. It was pretty good. It was his first time through the lineup. He threw 73.7% fastballs, then 24.7 sliders, and 2.4% changeups. The second time through a lineup, they are 0 for 22 with 14 strikeouts against his slider and changeup. Second time through the order. He's throwing second and third time through the order. He's throwing 62.8 fastballs, 28.6% sliders, and 8.6% changeups instead of 2.4 changeups. So throwing the slider and changeup a lot more second and third time through.
Interesting. Yeah, he's one of those guys who I told him, I said, like, your fastball is so good. Your other pitchers don't have to, like, they're setting up your fastball. Your fastball is your out pitch. It's your strike pitch.
Yeah.
It's your strike to ball pitch. It is that good. And I think he knows that too. I mean, he's a very smart kid and studies the game very well. And
yeah, he's smart, man.
He thought, you know, you always think that everyone says, oh, you can time a fastball when you get to the big leagues. But guess what, bud? You're not throwing big league fastball. You know?
Yeah. I mean, if he was closing, I'm sure he'd probably throw 90-some% fastballs, right? I mean, he wouldn't need to throw anything else, really. Occasional
100%.
Slider, maybe.
100%. And I think him as a starter is even more beneficial than
whereas I agree.
You know what I mean? Early on in the game, people haven't seen much pitch. Like, you haven't seen many fastballs, and then you're having to deal with closer-type stuff from the first inning. That's just got to be – that's got to be a nightmare.
Demoralizing facing this guy, man. He's making good hitters look bad.
Exactly.
The only guy who didn't strike out last night in the first 3 innings was Arenado.
And Goldschmidt, he struck out, but he hit a like barely the ball.
Right, the little bloop.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that ball is called, which it probably should have been, then he probably gets out. He could have got through that first inning unscathed too, or with 1, 2, 3.
Exactly.
So that was it was something to watch. That was impressive. So right now, he took over the strikeout lead on the team last night. He's got 102 in 65 innings. Charlie's got 101 in 87, and Charlie's a big strikeout pitcher. And Max Fried's got 100 and 107 innings, and he might be second or third in the Cy Young voting right now. It's insane.
I saw you had more than Verlander yesterday, and Verlander had like 98 innings.
Yeah.
Jeez.
His strikeouts per 9 innings is 13.98. By far the major league leader among any pitcher that's thrown 50 innings. Any pitcher.
Yeah.
And second on the list
pitcher in baseball. Edwin Diaz is probably the only one ahead of him.
Yeah. Second among guys who've thrown 50 innings. Second is Dylan Cease of the White Sox. He's at 13.01. So it's almost a full strikeout more per 9 innings.
Wow.
Yeah, and then Shohei Ohtani's third at 12.33.
Damn, Diaz is at 17.8. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's
his stuff this year. Whew.
His stuff is he's got something figured out.
So yeah, between him and the Braves right now would probably, or they got the guy with the Cubs has had a really good rookie with the Cubs has had a really good year so far. But if they keep this up, Harris and Strider could finish 1-2 in the Rookie of the Year ballot. Because, I mean, Michael Harris, this kid is special, dude.
He's real. He's real too, man.
Both sides of the ball. What the impacts he's had on the team. Because they turned it around right after he joined them, and they moved Duvall to the corner, and you put Harris at the bottom of that lineup, and he transforms that lineup. That lineup is so much tougher.
Yeah, I honestly, after watching a week of him play, I could care less if he hit 80.
Yeah.
50.
Yeah.
Playing D and what, like, those guys are, like, putting Duvall in a comfortable spot and putting Acuna in a comfortable spot and right and letting him just roam.
Yeah.
He's like Ed Reed out there. You know, it's the guy's absolutely incredible at defense. And, you know, we had all these big prospects, no offense to them, coming up that were supposed to be superstar defensive outfielders. But when you, like, Pache, he was great, and he's a great outfielder too. But watching Michael Harris out there, he reminds me of Ender Inciarte, just like his route running, his efficiency, the way he gets to baseballs. It's mind blowing. Like he's making real plays at the big league level with a month of experience of a third deck coming from Double-A.
Yeah.
Sometimes it changes, you know, sometimes you over panic or get a little zealous or sell out early on balls over your head or timing's a little like you're half a second late because you're kind of in the moment type thing. And Nothing. Not one
He's
time.
so comfortable out there from day
Dude,
one.
yeah, that's what's is mind blowing. I remember sitting in a meeting.
I'm sure he'll come back in once it gets in.
Like going in the gap or
Hey,
laying out.
we lost you for a second, Luke.
What were you saying? You were sitting where? You were talking about Harris? You're in a bad cell right now. Cell zone.
Am I back? Am I back?
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
You said you were sitting talking about. You were talking about Harris. You said you were sitting where? Thinking.
I was sitting in a meeting with some of the guys. Some of the France guys do a little bit of work while I'm hurt right now, just helping out with some scouting. And I was talking about just like from day one. Up a triple if you confidence that he exudes like every day just in center field, that like this is his territory, and right center gap and left center gap he'd be there. Yeah, just gives a pitcher all the confidence in the world too.
And he's got a cannon of an arm too.
Yeah, and it's accurate too.
Accurate.
Yeah,
he almost threw that guy out at first last night. He almost had a double play that was like, and he didn't even hesitate.
No, not 1 second, dude. He's the real deal.
He threw 100 on the. He had a 100-mile-an-hour throw, like last 2 weeks ago with the crow hop, But he was 93 off the mound in high school.
That's what I heard. I heard he was a pretty high draft pick as well as a pitcher.
Yeah,
Luke, you ever been gunned with a crow hop?
No, I haven't. I threw the ball. I did cross the diamond. I played shortstop in high school, and it wasn't very good. But curl hop, I think I'd be all right.
What do you? Because people ask me that sometimes, like what I could throw with a crow hop. After that video of Acuna came out where he just lobs a ball like 380 feet in Arizona. People ask me like, what, as a pitcher, what could you do? And I'm like, maybe 1 mile an hour harder or two.
Yeah.
I'm not throwing 102.
Some people translate really well, like you're doing it.
Yeah.
And some people go the other way. Like some guys, like, you know what I mean? Like you throw 95 off the mound, and then you curl hop and throw, and it's
89.
Yeah. You're like, what the heck? I thought I would throw harder. Yeah. It's like dunking off 2 feet or 1 feet. I think that's very similar.
Yeah. So, talking to Harris too, man. I love the kid's attitude. He's a quiet guy. He just sits over there, does his thing, gets there early, studies, and he's just he's really mature.
Yeah,
I like him, man. He's the best. He's the best center fielder in baseball right now. Defensively,
I wouldn't doubt that. Yeah, I don't know what is out there above average, but I'm gonna tell you right now, by the end of this year, it's gonna be number one.
Yeah, I mean, I just have not seen anybody as good as him in center field.
He was like number 10 after like 2 weeks.
Yeah, like that's absurd.
It's not a golden era for center fielders right now.
Exactly, that too. Yeah,
you don't have a Lorenzo Cain in his prime, that kind of thing. But the guys out there right now, he's the best I've seen, man. And I think he's the best I've seen since Andrew and Ender was really good.
Yeah.
Because when you combine the arm, because Ender didn't have the arm this guy has.
No, and I agree. He's like in the Jackie Bradley Jr. territory.
Yep.
Well, that guy is, an absolute monster in center field, and guys like good arms with good, but he's got it. The guy's hitting 300 right now, which is
with power.
With power.
Yeah.
Power.
Yeah.
I didn't even know he'd have this much power.
Half the balls he's hit, I definitely did not think were going out, if I'd be honest with you, and they are way gone.
Yeah, I did not see him hitting this much power this early.
The ball he hit last night might not even been a strike.
No, it was an inch off the plate up and away.
Yeah. And he hit it up straight center.
Yeah, it's crazy. You see center fielders with one of these tools. Like I remember Michael Bourne could go get it.
Yeah.
But you put Michael Bourne at the plate, he's going to hit 5 homers a year. Harris is hitting balls out of the strike zone out to dead center.
Yeah, DC when he was just flicking them out to left field.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's onto something here.
The adjustment that he made right away with that they had him lowering his hands, that's been huge, man.
Huge.
And he looks like Eric Davis up there with his hands down there. And then he's hitting with Eric Davis power or pretty close to it. It's been something to see. So that the Braves have had an uncanny way of blending in a rookie or two a year for a while now, that are impactful rookies, and their minor league systems never rated up there with the top 3, yet they keep producing these impact guys.
100%.
It's not quantity, it's quality.
You ain't right.
Bring in guys that can help you win. So, other thing I wanted to ask you real quick was Max Fried. I mean, we've seen this guy get better and better and better to where now, I mean, he's right there in that top tier of ace pitchers in the majors.
He established himself as a number one, and you see that. That's what a number one does. Takes the ball, gives you 6-7 every night, gives you a quality start, and you don't it's not even when you bat an eye at anymore. It's something that you're going to get, and that's how good he is. He knows how to pitch. He knows when his stuff's not good, and he still knows how to pitch. And I think that comes with experience and pitching in big games and pitching for pitching with elite stuff day in and day out. You figure out how to use it, and he's right there. So.
It's big to have that in the bullpen too. Just 1 or 2 days a week where you're like, we're chilling the first 5 innings of this game.
Yeah. And that's been a staple since I think second half of last year.
Yeah.
He threw I think he back-to-back CGs when he went Baltimore to somewhere else.
Yeah.
And we had a guy. I think I got warm in the 8th. I got warm in the 8th or 9th. Yeah, I got warm in the 8th or 9th, and I was like. And I think he still finished both games out. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, going into this game, I knew this was going to be what was going to happen. I knew everyone can mentally check out for the first 5, which is huge in a bullpen, takes your anxiety and stress level down a little bit. And then, all right, 6th, 7th inning, you got a couple guys that got to go to work today and just be ready because if he's hot, he's hot. And if he's not, we can come in and help him out in the 7th or 8th. But
more likely you're going to have to get an out for him or something.
Exactly.
Like that.
It might be just
runner on first, 2 outs, a little layup. I mean, those are just such nice days in the pen.
Line right there. You're talking ice cream on a Sunday.
To me, that's what separates those number ones is there's no question that night you're going to get a quality start. It might be something much better than that. He's going to go out there with no hit stuff and give you 7 innings, 8 innings. And I mean, there's no question when this guy takes the mound now. You don't have to worry about who the opponent is. He's going to pitch well.
Yep.
Yeah, it's huge.
You talked about it when it started last year. I worked up the numbers the other night, and he's on the kind of run that very few major leaguer pitchers enjoy this kind of run that he's on. He 28 regular season starts since August 3rd. He's 16-2 with a 2.08 ERA, 28 starts. 42 starts since May 1st, 2021. He's 23-8 with a 2.47 ERA, 244 strikeouts, and 262 innings, 42 starts.
You take out his first 2 games of this year and his first 3 from last year, it might be the most absurd stretch of 35 starts someone had. Started out with 3 bad ones in 2021. He started out this year with 2 bad ones in 2022, and the outside of that, it's been almost perfection.
Yeah, throw out the first 2 this year, and he's 9-0 with a 2.51 ERA in the last 15, including 13 Braves wins. Yeah, I mean that's as good as it gets.
When you go deep into games like that, you come to find out you get a lot more W's, and he's the guy who's going 7, so it's pretty insane to see. The team rally. The teams. I mean, he was one of those guys. I think for a while there, who was getting run support on those years where he was he was battling for it. Yeah. Now it's if you give him any run support, you're in trouble.
Right. Yeah, somebody asked me, should they start him? He's going to should they re-sign him because he's going to be a big contract? I say, hell yeah, they should re-sign him because who are you going to replace him with? It's going to be cheaper. They need to sign him now while he's still got 2 years before free agency.
Yeah, I mean he's leveraging him, Dansby. Some of these guys have priced themselves pretty insane with coming up on deal years and having absolute incredible seasons, and it's
Dansby's good timing
on
his.
It's tough to say, hey, we got to sign all these guys, but on the other hand, it's these guys have earned these dollars and these guys have worked their butt off, and it looks good on a team when you're winning and you're getting carried by certain guys on your team for a little. Dansby carried us for 2 weeks there. There was a stretch where I think the whole team was just Dansby was moving the line along, and I think it's your value gets skyrocketed in situations like that.
Oh, it's skyrocketed for sure.
And nowadays, when you have stats like F-WAR that take into account your whole game instead of just offense, now they're showing Dansby's true worth because he's at the top of the scale with shortstops this year. I mean, He's doing everything.
I mean, in basketball, they have a clutch meter. They literally have a stat that, like, in defining moments that you perform.
Yeah.
And they don't have it in baseball, but if they had it, that would be Dansby's selling point. The guy, gamer, big situations. I'd take that guy every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
The good news for him is anybody watching the games knows that.
That's a very, very true statement right there.
I mean, the Dodgers are going to have Trey Turner hit free agency. The Braves are going to have Dansby hit free agency. I know Buster the other day predicted those two would flip-flop, and I was like, I don't know why the Braves would let him go, because they're going to have to sign Trey Turner for more money than Dansby. He's going to get more than Dansby. And, I mean, Dansby is a perfect fit on this team. I don't know how you let that piece of your culture go. You already lost Freddie last year. I think you need to keep Dansby.
I don't think they do.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
The Dodgers would drool to have Dansby in their lineup. You imagine him out there? He'd make a little money on the side over there. Yeah. But he's been terrific this year, and just some guys have stepped up to pick up the slack with Freddie gone, and Dansby's one of them for sure. And then so it's been a kind of a combined effort. And Matt Allison's done a hell of a job. I know people, got down on him during that when he wasn't hitting the ball out of the park, but I thought he's done a hell of a job, Matt Olson.
I mean, he's on pace to break the 19
doubles record,
60s doubles record. I mean,
and extra base hits, tons. He's on pace to threaten Hank Aaron's franchise record for extra base hits, and people are like, "Oh man, he's no Freddie." I mean, come on, get out of here.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
Anyway, well, Luke. Man,
always a pleasure, guys.
We miss seeing you out at the park, dude. And all the guys say you still come down by there a lot, and
every
support
home
them and all that.
I'm trying to catch a breather, if you know what I mean.
Are you in the stadium for the games, or do you have to go home?
No. I come to probably half the home games. Come to half the home games, kind of hang out with the guys, hang out with the bullpen, kick it, get maybe some contrast in or something extra. But other than that, I try to. Right when the little one goes to sleep, I head on over and hang out for a bit.
I told you I saw him at a day game the other day. He had a pair of Hawaiian shorts, had a beer, had a beer, and showed his buddy around.
Why not? You got time.
Down at the Delta Club or whatever that is down there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When I was walking down there, yeah. I'm trying to take in saying this is gonna be the only time ever I have pleasure of getting to experience a game as a fan while I'm still kind of playing, and
good perspective.
It is, and I agree. It's definitely kind of brought some reality into my life.
How about that lounge, man? What they did to that thing? Jesus, it's huge.
You ain't lying.
Behind home plate, you can play basketball on that thing. Massive. All right. Well, it's been real, dude. We appreciate it. And,
always. You guys
we'll
are the
see
best.
We'll see you out at the ballpark. But thanks for all the insight. Really, fans love you and love to hear from you.
Always, David. Take care. Eric, man. Always.
All right. See you, buddy. Thanks
Keep
for coming on.
Keep those kids in check, baby.
Oh, yeah. Love it.
Love it. Take care.
All right. Thanks to Luke Jackson. That was great having him on.
Yeah. Luke's always good.
What a dude, man. Yeah, he's got great perspective.
I wanted to check on his mentals because, man, he's in the hardest part of rehab where you're not really seeing any progress and you're just doing this redundant stuff every day. He's got a kid at home, so it's a tough year. But doing that rehab and coming back, I think he'll be in a position to. I mean, I got a 2-year deal coming off of Tommy John. I would hope that the Braves offer him something to bring him back, and I take a discount, but.
Yeah, I would be surprised if they don't. I mean, they're rehabbing him. He's there every day. He's going out of his way. A lot of guys do their rehab and they go home and do it with somebody, especially if they're not even signed beyond this year. They might just be taking the team's money and rehabbing somewhere else. He's out there every day. He's coming supporting these guys. The guys in the bullpen now say, he's there all the time helping us out and everything. So he's still
makes perfect sense to me too. Why he had to go ahead and do it, because what he was saying, he was still able to throw, his velo and everything was still there, but that's one of those tough decisions. And it's a tough spot to be in where he had to think, even if he went through this year and grinded it out, once that MRI is on the record,
right,
nobody's signing you, I mean,
unless you're Greg Maddux.
Right. And that's later in his career too. And
at the end of his career. Yeah. and I'm sure
But
it had all kinds of stuff in it.
He went out and pitched 60 games this year with good numbers. Somebody would sign him, but it's going to be a 1-year deal, and
right,
it's going to be at a discount, and probably 1 or 2 deals is going to fall apart once I see that MRI. So I mean, he kind of just had to do it, but
probably
sucks being hurt going into free agency.
Yeah. The same thing happened with Johnny Venters.
Yep. Yeah, we did the same year.
So yeah, I mean, he mentioned doing some scouting for him and stuff. So it's obviously he's still be as involved as he can possibly be. So I don't see them severing ties with him. He's been too big a piece of that bullpen becoming what it is.
Yeah.
And you saw them bring back Darren O'Day. They bring back guys that are, that are important for them. And Darren's probably at the end of his run, so we'll see. But he's had some effective outings, and Snit's using him in O'Day in some big situations too, man. Snit is nothing if not loyal. Yeah. Okay, well, they got what should be an easy series against the Nats, who are dreadful, and Soto's hurt right now, so they should. A sweep would be ideal going into the biggest series that they'll have for a while with the Mets. That Mets series could be big. It's going to be big. I mean, they're going to be, depending on what they do against the Nationals and what the Mets do the rest of the weekend against the Marlins, the Braves could be within,
it's crazy the spread, like how spread out a series can be against these teams that you're competing for the division with. Like you can play the Mets when they're hot in April and then not see them again until July. Things like that happen. I wish they spread it out more.
You see the Phillies twice in like a week. 10 days or whatever.
Yeah. And then you don't see them for 3 months. It's like, I wish they spread it out so that there was a better chance of both teams getting to face each other when they're hot and cold versus a team getting to have a series that could decide the season early when one team's hot and one team's not going. I wish it was more evenly spread out.
It's at 3.5 game deficit right now, and which is good. It was 10.5 at the beginning of June 2nd, but they had a chance the other night to get it to 1.5.
Yep.
And the Mets pulled out that come from behind win. And then and then the Braves lose to the Cardinals last night when the Mets won. So it's got it back up to 3.5. But man, they almost had it down to 1.5 there. So
I always think about it too, like that. It's almost like when you start out down 10, it's almost like a house money mindset. There's so much more to blow when you're the Mets and somebody's chasing you down and you can't shake them. I would prefer to be the team chasing and slightly behind and putting that pressure on them than being the team that's risking blowing it. Just the perspective of it. I think the Braves are in a good spot, and the way they're playing, they're not going anywhere. Like the Mets, they have to deal with this.
Right. And now the Mets are feeling the pressure of them being there, and the Braves 3.5 that's nothing. When you got half a season left, you can make that up literally in a week. And they know they can, especially with all the head-to-head games they've got against the Mets coming up.
Oh, sweep them, you're half game back.
Now the Mets have Scherzer back now, and they don't have DeGrom back yet, but he's getting close. So we'll see. But the Braves are in good shape, man. They've come through they got through that terrible start, that lackluster start, and some injuries. And if Matzik can get it back, then that'll be big. He pitched 2 innings last night. Snit left him in for 2 innings. He gave up a couple of leadoff hits, but Snit was really pleased with the performance. So I don't know. We'll see.
Well, that's a tough. It's hard to even grade these extra innings.
Yeah. Oh, with the guy at second base. That's what Snit said. If you only give up 1 run, you did your job.
Yeah,
as a reliever.
It's hard to swallow a loss from that, and it's hard to feel good about it or look at the way you pitch. I mean, you have to be able to step aside from that result, but you threw the ball well. I mean, you wind up giving up a couple unearned. I don't even know what they count as. They shouldn't even count as runs you give up, but
the one at second is unearned. The first one, if he scores.
Yeah, and it's impossible to grade that because if you had your own inning, that's what you have to look at it like. If you give up a leadoff double, you already gave up your hit for the inning, maybe. But when you just start with a runner on second, you got to be perfect.
Yeah, that's the only thing I don't like about the rule is it changes everything that you do as a pitcher. It all of a sudden is out the window because it's a totally different circumstance. It's kind of like, deciding something with a shootout or whatever. It's like you've done all this you play the game like this, and then all of a sudden you're playing with a completely different set of rules. But
like if Matzek's locked in, what are your odds of getting a leadoff double against him?
right.
And we just give it to you.
Right.
So it takes away a strength of a bullpen. Your elite guys give up a leadoff double every time, and that never happens.
Right. Usually a guy's going to have to either get a walk or a single, and somebody's going to have to move him over to second, and then you're operating with an out.
Yeah, it's fair because the other team gets their shot too.
Right.
And you saw it last night. You score one, we score one, but
right.
Eventually somebody's just going to not have it and give up a 3 spot, and then the game's over. When you could use your 0 guys in those big situations and actually get a 0 from them.
Yeah, maybe it'd be better if they pushed it back an inning or 2. But
I'd like to see it start in the 10th or the 11th, or the 11th or 12th.
I'd say 11th or 12th, but I do not want to see those games like the one I referred to earlier, that Pittsburgh 19-inning game that ended at like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. We don't need to ever see those again. You never
just said uncle.
You never need to see those again, when you run out of pitchers and all that. So it does keep the game exciting. It's just that it's a kind of an abomination of what the game really is. But
yeah,
it is exciting. And if you've got a deep bullpen, you've obviously got a lot better chance.
You got to have strikeout guys. You have to have a strikeout guy that you save for that, because that's the only way out of it.
Yeah, if you've got a Craig Kimbrell at his peak, would be ideal for this rule, or Smoltz at his peak, or if you had
Matzek at his peak.
Matzek
at his peak. He hasn't had quite the velocity and the strikeouts that he had last year, and I think it's going to come. He's just coming back and finding his footing again. But ideally, he's the perfect guy for that scenario because he can strike out too and get a pop up.
Yeah. Well, Strider would have been, but he ain't going to be a closer. So somebody asked me, "Do you think?"
I'm not touching him.
Somebody's like, "You think they'll move Strider to closer?" I'm like, "Are you kidding? After what we've seen as a starter with the 3 pitches and." No,
if you can have Kimbrell for 7 innings, you take Kimbrell for 7 innings.
Exactly, man. Yeah, I don't see that happening anytime soon. So, anyway, all right. Well, we'll talk to you next week after they've taken care of the Nats and getting ready for the Mets. Cool. And then the All-Star break's just around the corner. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be several Braves make that team, I think. Dansby's right there neck and neck with Turner for shortstop. The voting is right, almost even.
Well, he better get taken even if he doesn't win the vote.
Yeah, he'll go regardless. Yeah, he'll go. So, all right, that's it. 755 is real. Thanks everybody. We appreciate it. Oh, somebody asked about my shirt. It says I like coffee and maybe 3 people. We're out.